Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Not Your Average Maths. Today we're going to be looking at a question that one of my students gave me. This one is, I would say, quite a bit harder than you would find normally in an exam or assessment. Possibly one you might find in level 3. It's a tricky one, but I had a lot of fun with it. So I'll share my screen and let's get into it. Alrighty. Let's try it again. Alrighty. So this is the question I'm looking at. Let's try that again. It's taken me 2 whole pages, and I haven't even finished it yet. So it's a big question. It looks relatively not too bad, but it gets long and wide. It takes up a lot of space across the page. It's y equals 2024, yz plus y plus z is 2024, and xz plus x plus z equals 728. I'm just going to pause there so you can grab that question if you would like to. Oops. If you want to just grab that question and have a go at solving it before we do it together. All right. You'll notice that the first thing I wanted to look at is you'll notice that I have my z's like that. That is just because when I am super focused, my z's and my 2's start to look really, really similar. And I want to be careful and protect against that because it will be important that I make absolutely no mistakes. And because, as I said, they're quite long, there are a lot of moving parts in this question. I want to make sure that I'm setting myself up for the best success possible. You will also, as a side point, I don't use the variable O because it looks too much like a 0, and I don't use the variable sort of I, lowercase l or capital I, because it looks too much like the number 1. So that's just a side point. When you're choosing your variables, choose them carefully to make sure that you don't make a mistake for lack of trying. Wait, no, that's not what I meant. That you don't make a mistake just from these variables. All right, let's get into it. The first thing, so I have done this question a few times to work out sort of the best approach. So the best approach for me is going to be to add these equations together. Now you would know, let's remember that if we can do anything we want to an equation as long as we do the same thing to both sides. So what I'm going to do is multiply this equation by -1. And that would give me yz, negative yz minus y minus z. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to get rid of some of these variables. So I can get rid of those two because plus y minus y equals 0. Now, with this bottom equation here, I'm actually going to leave it as plus z because I want to get rid of that z. And if you are wondering about how I could just subtract an equation, let's look at that in a separate video. We can go into that in more detail, but in the meantime, let's just do it. And again, I'm going to cancel out these two. That is going to leave me with xy. Now you'll notice that I'm switching colors so I can mark it up and on my paper, that's what I've done, is I've scribbled all over this. All right, because I want to make it easy for myself. That's going to be 2x. And also easy for myself to catch any mistakes. So xy minus yz plus xz plus 2x equals, now again, 2024 take away 2024 is 0, so that equals 728. All right. That's gotten rid of some of my variables, my letters. I'm still not that happy because that's a bit of a mess. So what I'm going to do is I'm thinking, let's rearrange this equation so that we have all the x's on one side and everything else on the other. So that guy's going over there as a plus yz. Remember, opposite on the other side. And that's it. So now I have xy plus xz plus 2x equals 728 minus plus yz. Good catch. All right. Now, the common factor for all of these is x. So x, y plus z plus 2 equals 728 plus yz. Now what I'm going to do is, again, opposite on the other side, y plus z plus 2, going to give me x. 728 plus yz over y plus z plus 2. Now, I have an equation for x in terms of y and z. Now so this here would be the elimination method. Now I'm going to use the substitution method where I'm going to substitute this x into one of the equations. Let's start with this equation here. So it is x. No, hang on. So let's just write the equation. Xy plus x plus y equals 2024. Now I'm going to substitute this here into both of the x's. Because if x equals this, then every time I see an x, I can just put this. Now you're going to see why I like that idea, hopefully, in a sec. So it's 728 plus yz plus yz. Good catch. So I'm trying to put that little line with those z's. I'm not doing it particularly consistently. I'm hoping that if I do it most of the time, I'm going to be okay, but ideally I would be doing it every time. Plus x, which is 728 plus yz over y plus z plus 2. Plus y equals 2024. All right. Now, I don't like denominators. I try to avoid them as much as possible. So what I'm thinking is if I multiply every term in this equation by y plus z plus 2, it's going to cancel it out. Now, I'm not actually going to write that working because it's going to take up a ton of space, and I'm going to hope that I don't regret that. So I'm also at the same time multiplying this out, and you'll see why in a sec. Plus yz, that's that term. Now again, I'm multiplying this term by y plus z plus 2, so that's just going to give me plus 728 plus yz. And now this y, I need to multiply by y plus z plus 2. And 2024, I need to multiply by y plus z plus 2. This is what I meant by it being really wide. All right. Before I simplify this, I'm going to just rewrite the terms where I'm multiplying these two out. The first time I did this, I simplified it at the same time, and that was my downfall. Biggest mistake. And while I'm writing this out, I'm just checking that it's all. I haven't made a translation error. I haven't copied anything wrong. Now, I know that 2 times 2 times 2024 is 4048. All right, there's my equation. Now I'm going to simplify it by adding and subtracting like terms. So I want to combine all of my like terms. So they are going to become 2yz. What else can I do? I'm going to move this over here. So that's going to be minus 2y, which means this is going to be 2022y. There's another 728. That's going to be minus 728y. Remember opposite on the other side. Just grabbing a calculator. Which is going to be my phone today. 2022. Again, just double checking that I'm putting it into the calculator correctly, because I would hate to get it wrong because of that. That is now become 1294y. Why does this feel wrong? Because I did it slightly differently on my own paper. That is okay. This is going to be minus 728. And that's going to become 3320. So I've got a y squared z, can't do anything with that. That's gone. That's gone. Y squared, can't do anything with that yet. That 2y's over there. All right, now I have y squared z plus 2yz plus y squared equals 1294y plus 2024z plus 3320. Should I be a little bit more consistent with the pronunciation of these numbers? Ideally, yes. I'm not going to I'm not going to come back and edit it though. Now I've got some y squareds and some z's. It's going to be easier for me if I rearrange in terms of, so for z in terms of y, so I don't have to take a square root just yet. So what I'm going to do now is move all of my z's over to this side. Again, opposite on the other side, and I'm going to move everything else to this side. All right, now I'm going to rewrite my equation. Y squared z plus 2yz minus 2024z equals 1294y plus 3320. Now I'm going to factorize for z. I'm going to pull out the common factor, which is z on this side. Equals 1294y plus 3320, which means that z equals, again, opposite on the other side, I'm going to divide by this whole section here. Over y squared plus 2y minus 2024. going to pause there while I check that I am correct. And it looks like I've missed a y squared. And I did right there. Now I'm going to rearrange this equation. Oops. I'm going to rearrange this equation so it is in the order y squared plus or minus y plus or minus a number. Negative y squared plus 1294y plus 3320 over y squared plus 2y minus 2024. All right, that is an equation for z. I now have an equation for x in terms of y and z, and an equation for z in terms of y. Now, what I did do on my own is rearrange this equation to get z in terms of y. Oh, we didn't have to do both. So let's solve. You may have chosen to do this equation here instead. All right. Our equation xz plus x plus z equals 728. Now what I'm going to do is substitute this value for x into each of my x's here. 728 plus yz over y plus z plus 2 times z plus 728 plus yz over y plus z plus 2 plus z equals 728. Same deal again. I'm going to multiply each term by y plus z plus 2 by this denominator here, so it will go away. 728 plus yz times z, we'll multiply that out in a second, plus 728 plus yz plus z equals, oh, hang on, y plus z plus 2 equals 728 y plus z plus 2. Nearly forgot it here, and that would have thrown everything off. Now, 728z plus yz squared plus 728 plus yz plus zy plus z squared plus 2z equals 728y plus 728z plus 728 times 2 is 1456. Now I know that because I've done it before, not because I just happen to know. You can see here how this z has started to evolve into a 2, which is why I'm really glad that I had that line through it. All right. Same deal as before, but this time I'm going to rearrange for y because I don't want to deal with the z squareds right now. So that means that I'm going to move. First, I'm just going to add like terms. And then I'm going to start to move all my z's to the other side and all my y's to the left-hand side and z's to the right. I could do it the other way, but this is just how I do it, how I think. It does tend to be the more common practice, but if you think the other way, that's absolutely fine too. Those are going to add together to be 2yz. This and this are actually going to cancel each other out. Because if I do the opposite on the other side, 728z minus 728z are going to equal 0. Let's keep that line in, so when I'm checking my work, I know what I did. YZ squared can't do anything with that. This is moving to here as a negative 728, which makes this 728. 2yz can't do anything with the z squared, can't do anything with the 2z right now, and can't do anything with that right now. Yz squared plus 2yz plus z squared plus 2z equals 728y minus 728. Alright, I don't feel like I can do anything more with that right now, so I'm going to move my y's over to this side. It's negative 728y. And the z's I'm going to move to this side. Minus z squared minus 2z. Alright. Yz squared plus 2yz z squared. I just want to cross those out so I don't accidentally include them. Minus 728y equals negative 728 minus z squared minus 2z. Now again, we're going to pull out the common factor. Which is in this case y. And I am going to rearrange this side so it is in the form plus or minus z. So it is in descending powers. You don't need to do that. It is not a requirement, but again, I find it easier to see what I've got. Again, moving this to the other side and dividing it. Y equals z negative z squared minus 2z minus 700 over z squared plus 2z minus 728. Now, that gives me y in terms of z. Unfortunately, we have run out of time so far. So we have now those two beautiful equations. We're going to use them, but for the time being, I need to see a student, and I'll join you guys again later, and we can carry on. All right. See ya.